Now the world's top court has delivered its long-awaited ruling laying out the legal authorities have to prevent climate change. The court's president said climate change was an urgent and existential threat, and states breaching their obligations to address the crisis, internationally wrongful act, and that now opens the door to possible reparations over climate change. Well, let's talk live to Monica Ferreira Tinto, who's leading barrister specializing in public international law and an expert in climate change litigation, and joining us here on the program. How significant then is this ruling? Thank you very much. It is a very significant ruling indeed. It is the World Court that has a matter that, according to the court, is an existential problem of planetary proportions. So the court has for the first time not only addressed what are the obligations of states under international, also what are the legal consequences when states do not comply with those obligations. And this is the first time that the highest court in the world deals with the topic of climate change. One of the arguments that the states made some states before the court was that the Paris Agreement didn't deal with legal consequences, and therefore that was not really for the court to deal with or state. And the court decided actually it has jurisdiction to address that question. And it has jurisdiction to state that the rules of a state responsibility which apply in international law apply also in the climate context. So practically though how might this work because how easy or difficult would it be for a country, if they were suing another country, they'd been impacted negatively by that country's actions on climate change? I mean, that sounds like it might be quite complicated to prove. Well, it has obviously its specificities, but in simple terms of attribution can apply very well to a number of states. That is, states are responsible for their specific omissions or wrong conduct, and that it may be that there is a phenomenon that is contributed towards by different parties, but each party has its own obligation. For example, the obligation. And this is an obligation of result, meaning that it is not to be done in the long term, but it is punctual. The obligation of highest ambition when it comes to the court has established that this is an obligation of result, and it has established also the parameters. So in the transboundary context, which is something that also how it is very speculative, can we actually have a case where the party is but the harm occurs far away on the other side of the world, for example a sinking island, or perhaps an island that has been affected by a weather that it was unpredictable and harmful enough to destroy infrastructure. So in that context the court has clearly established that it can happen also in the transboundary harm. In the climate change context, and what has to be proved is that the state in particular suit failed to comply with a particular duty, and that, for example, a failure to prevent significant harm, and that contribution, that failure has caused indeed a significant harm somewhere else. So there are certain rules that the court has established that are clearly for lawyers now to look into and operate and advise their clients on. Well, as you started by saying, it is a significant ruling. It'll be fascinating to watch how this progress. But Monica, we have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us on the program.